Welcome to the Discount Property Investor Podcast, where we show you how to buy real estate at a discount so you can create wealth over time and income today. Our mission is to share what we have learned from the experience of others and help you make more money investing like a pro. We want to teach you how to create wealth by investing in real estate, the Discount Property Investor way. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. This is episode 14. I'm your host, David Dodge, with co-host Mike Slane. We always encourage our listeners to check out the Discount Property Investor Podcast as well as the freewholesalecourse.com. Tons of information on there to help you guys get started wholesaling today. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about direct mail. Direct mail is one of the most important parts of this business and probably the best way to get leads, at least in our market.
Absolutely.
St. Louis, Missouri here.
So, I mean, you're kind of starting out and it's like, should I send direct mail? I don't know. It's kind of expensive. Is that something I really want to do? It seems like everybody else is doing it. Well, the answer to that question is absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, Dave, you want to show? I mean, we've got a stack of direct mail from investors in St. Louis just this, what was it, the past 12 months?
Mm-hmm.
I think
there's
we've selected
probably 30
Yeah, we've got
letters
about
here
30
and
letters
an
and
additional
other.
maybe 25 or 30 postcards. So this is just a stack that I have, so the listeners here aren't going to be able to see this. But whenever I get direct mail from somebody else in the marketplace, I always save it. And I'm actively investing. I'm actively buying and selling a lot of houses, but I also have a decent number of rentals. So, I get a lot of people, marketing and mailing to me for a rental property that I own.
Right.
Right.
So again, it's kind of nice. You can look, or Dave can look through them and see what everybody else is doing, as well as it's just kind of a reminder that, man, there's other people out there doing this business and they're sending direct mail. It's important.
Absolutely.
It's a staple, I'd say, of the business. So, yeah, I mean, there is competition. I mean, you can't pretend like there isn't competition, but it shouldn't slow you down either. Like, you shouldn't look at that as necessarily an issue for you. It's just, it's what's going
competition
on.
is also a good thing too, because if they're sending mail, it works.
Correct. Absolutely.
So if they're doing it, you should be doing it too.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
let's talk about why. Why would we want to send direct mail?
Sure. I mean, the short answer is that we need leads. I mean, if you're not sending direct mail, how are you getting your leads? So this is probably one of the, I would say, the easiest ways to get started, because of all the different variables that you can kind of select and screen out. It's just a super easy way to generate leads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whenever we do our mail, we change up our mail pieces as well. So we're not really consistently sending the same piece of mail. We change it up. So we definitely would encourage you to just get out there and just get some mail out. So let's talk about the steps that you would need to take in order to start your first mail campaign, if you haven't already started a mail campaign.
Sure.
Sure.
So I mean, I guess the first thing is who you're going to send it to, right? Like, you've got to kind of define that, Dave. I mean, is that fair?
I would absolutely agree with that. You have to define it.
Yeah, and I think the reason to elaborate, I would say that yes, is there's in St. Louis, I don't know how many millions of people. I mean, you can't send it to everyone.
And this isn't even a very big market.
Right. Right. So there is a need to define your target market. So again, it's the who are you going to send to. So some criteria. What criteria would we use in selecting who we're going to send to?
Absolutely. So typically whenever we're gonna go out and find ourselves a list, because that would be the first step, would be to target who you're going to send to. So we usually will define areas that our buyers are actively looking for properties. So as wholesalers, we're not going out and buying properties for ourselves. Our end game is to buy these properties and then sell them to our cash buyers to make that win-win.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, you really are shopping for someone else. You're placing orders for someone else, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. You are placing orders for someone else. I want to repeat that. So, what we do is we figure out where our cash buyers are looking for properties, and then we'll target those zip codes, those little cities or municipalities, or even those counties. From there, we will then define the property type. So at this point we've determined, hey, we want to market in this part of town. Okay. Then we're going to determine what the property type is. Are we looking for single families? Are we looking for multis at this point in time in our marketing campaign? Are we looking for houses that are 2-bedroom, maybe 3-bedroom, or are we looking for houses that are 3+ bedroom? So depending on the zip code and the county and the area, we may have different criteria for different parts of town. So bed and bath, is definitely something that we want to target. And then price. Are we looking for something, at the medium price range? Are we looking for, properties that are below the median price range? So on and so forth. And again, that may change depending on the area of town that we're marketing.
Absolutely. So I guess the next thing is, we just kind of talked about the area and the type of property that we're looking for. So the next question is, well, where do we get these lists? And there are huge list vendors out there. That have lists just nationwide. And a couple of them that we have used in the past are ListSource, Listability, and US Lead List. All those basically you can find online. We'll have links to them in the show notes. Places that you can go out and get the list. And there are tons of criteria that you can actually limit or kind of define your list.
Yeah,
so it's awesome.
These sites are great too because you can add and remove your criteria, at any point in time. So you may start off with, 20,000 people on your list, and as you start narrowing them down, like let's say that you are only looking for 3 beds. Well, that's going to take the list from 20 grand down to 3,000, let's say. And then let's say that your buyers aren't wanting 1-bath homes; they want 2-bath homes. So then you add 2+ bath into the criteria, and it's going to take you, down again. And you can get these lists down to just, a few hundred people, in some cases less than 100. You can target very, very specifically with these lists. So, we want to caution you to play around with these before you go ahead and buy, because, you don't want to be too specific, but at the same time, you don't want to just be shotgun mailing out your entire city.
It gets expensive.
It can get expensive.
You don't want to spend a whole bunch just mailing everybody in the city.
Absolutely.
Especially for your first few campaigns. So the next thing I would talk about is, when are you going to send these mail pieces? And Dave, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so my best piece of advice would be yesterday. Get them out.
Absolutely.
Immediately. Don't delay. If you want to start doing deals and making money and creating these win-wins and helping people out, then you need to get this mail out. So, don't overthink it. I do caution you to spend a little bit of time on these sites like ListSource or Listability, figuring out exactly where you want to mail. But I don't mean spend half a day. I mean maybe spend 30 or 40 minutes just playing with the site and figuring out exactly what you want. And then once you have your list, get it out, start mailing. If you don't have a ton of funds, then handwrite them. We've talked about that in several of our previous episodes. And if you have a little bit of a marketing budget, which we definitely encourage, the bigger the marketing budget, the better. You can reach more people. But there's tons of third-party sites out there as well that you can use to help fulfill these.
Yeah, we've got a great one that we use. We've got a link in the show notes to Yellow Letter Headquarters. That is our preferred mailer. I think it's 55 cents or so, and I can't quote the prices because sometimes they do change. But it's very, very inexpensive. One of the lowest per cost for the letters in full color if you want it. One of the lowest per cost on the postcards that we've found. So check out the show notes for Yellow Letter HQ. And definitely I would recommend using them. But again, it depends on where your budget's at. You can handwrite them or not. The other thing on the win, Dave, that I like to focus on is the follow-up too. So we mentioned that there are other people mailing, and that's true. So one of the ways that you stand out, and let's get into design of the letters or design of the mail piece after this.
Of course.
Thought. One of the ways that you stand out is you send the mail piece again. You can't just mail it one and done.
Yeah, don't be one and done.
They may not be ready to sell today, and they may throw your letter away. But 3 months from now, if you mailed them again, they might be ready to sell, and they might call you.
Yeah, that's a really great point, Mike, because it all comes down to the level of motivation that the seller has when they receive your postcard or your letter. And they may not be motivated today, and maybe they have a divorce or a death in the family, a week or 2 or 3 later after they get that postcard. Well, they already threw that away. So, they're not going to remember that number. Mm-hmm. So we always recommend, mailing at least 3 times. And ideally, you want to mail 5, 6, 7 times. Mm-hmm. Now, again, it can get expensive if you're mailing to a lot of people and you're constantly buying new lists. But the main point of what Mike is getting at here is, don't be one and done.
Yeah, I'd say it's 3 to 6 times probably as a target. You buy a list, that would be my goal, is to mail it 3 to 6 times.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to get your best bang for the buck on that list purchase. Mm-hmm. The next thing then, so let's talk about the mailing. Dave, I know we were chatting earlier about a seminar that we had went to, and it was pretty much exclusively on direct mail.
Yeah, it was a two-day weekend event.
Yeah.
It was a long event.
Almost the whole thing was talking about direct mail mm-hmm. and what works with the direct mail, what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And what would you say the biggest takeaway was, Dave?
Man, the biggest takeaway is that there's really no magic bullet to direct mail. And
absolutely.
And here's the thing, like, we spent 2 days with an expert that does millions of dollars in direct mail mm-hmm. all over the country. And, they talked about this postcard versus that postcard and this verbiage versus that verbiage and these colors versus those colors.
And fonts and
man, we went on and on and on. I wanted to jump off the roof at this seminar. But I learned a lot. But at the end, I realized that you may only get a 1 or 1.5% better response rate by using this particular color over that, or this versus that. The most important thing is just to do it.
Yeah.
Do something.
My main takeaway was,
get out there and do some mail.
Don't overthink it. Just
don't overthink it. Yeah,
because it gets it's difficult when you're just really trying to fine tune it so much.
And
just send out the letters.
Just get them out.
Send out the postcards.
Absolutely. Like, they were talking about like having watermarks in the background and like having grammatical errors and spelling errors because it makes mm-hmm. you look more like a human.
And the paper quality.
Oh, just so many things. Yeah. There was 40 different things that went into it. And, we tried to implement some of those
Absolutely.
when we got back. Yeah. But, we didn't really notice a huge spike in leads mm-hmm. from sending out a couple thousand postcards or, 1,000 or so letters from what we did prior when we were just
right.
sending them on yellow letters.
Right. The AB, it's not much different.
It's not much different. So the main point there is, don't overthink it, guys. Keep it simple. You just want to get a letter out, okay? So now that we've kind of discussed, when to send, we want to focus on, what to send. So again, let's kind of recap before we talk about the what.
Sure.
You want to find your list of who you're going to mail to, and by doing that, you can go to a place like ListSource or Listability. You want to definitely have a good target criteria. So you want to be able to narrow down on those sites the city, the county, the zip code, et cetera, of, who you're going to be mailing to. And then you also want to try to define the type of property. Are you going to be mailing to absentee owners? Are you going to be mailing to people that have recently had a divorce or pre-foreclosure or probate? There's tons of different ways that you can, define that. And then you want to define the property itself. Are you looking for single family? Are you looking for multi? Are you looking for slabs or homes with the basement? Do you need to buy homes with at least 2 or 3 bedrooms? So on and so forth. So you can narrow all that stuff down. So once you figure out who you're mailing to and you've bought yourself a list and you've decided that you're ready to send today, and then you've put together maybe a follow-up frequency. Let's mm-hmm. say that you're going to mail that list 5 times, and you're going to mail it every 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you've got yourself a plan. We're always harping on, having a good plan, folks. So now that you've got yourself a list, you've got yourself a plan, what do you send? How does that work? Mm-hmm. So again, we've just kind of mentioned that what you're sending isn't super important. Just get something out there. So if you have a big list, Mike and I would recommend Postcards because you can get more bang for your buck. And again,
Absolutely.
Yellow Letter HQ is what we use.
Absolutely, and I think it's a big list, or if you have a small budget, either way,
That's a good
use
point.
the postcard, get them out there. I know wholesalers here in St. Louis exclusively use postcards. I think for that reason, they're cheaper, and they can just get more messages out there. To
Yeah,
more
I mean, you
people.
can almost
So,
do 2.5 postcards per letter,
pretty close,
give or take.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you can do a lot of postcards. They're cheap, so.
relative to I mean, all things considered.
Right.
So yeah, definitely. I would say I would vary it. I would change it up a little bit though. If I'm going to remail the list, I would definitely incorporate a letter and a postcard at some point. And again, I know it's not like I said, I'm a big fan of the. It doesn't exactly matter exactly what you're sending, but just get it out there.
Just get it out.
But I still think you got to change it up a little bit because you just never know what's going to catch someone's attention.
Yeah, maybe
So-
they don't like postcards. Maybe they hit the trash can.
Exactly.
But a letter, they'll actually open it and they'll read. So you got to mix it up a little bit, you know. And we don't really have it down to an exact science because we're just more rhinos. We're head down, get the mail out. Let's just go out and do some deals, But typically we'll send a letter on the first or second time, and then we'll follow up with postcards. But you can do it any way you like, whatever works for you. But again, just the most important thing is just do something. Get out there, get some mail going. Your phone is not going to start ringing on its own. You have to let people know that you're in this business, and one of the best ways to target all these motivated sellers is to put a letter in their hand.
It's direct mail. That's right, guys. So get some direct mail out. I think we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to talk about today, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Maybe real quick, just talk about some of the main points that you should put in your mail piece.
Oh, very
Again,
good.
it doesn't matter if it's a letter or a postcard, but you definitely want to put your name or your business name in the mail piece that just says, "Hey, this is who I am." Okay. Next, you want to tell them that you buy houses for cash, you close fast, and you buy them as is. So you can simplify that even easier if that's too many words for you. If you're limited on your amount of content.
Well, and then the website or the mailer that we recommend, I mean, they've got formats out there. So
They've
you can
got
just select a
templates.
couple of the templates, or again, you can create your own customized one.
Right.
So if you are doing that, absolutely, you've got to tell them a little bit about yourself, like David mentioned, and highlight some of those features that you offer when someone sells their house to you.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So next, that you want to, not only have you mentioned your name and you've mentioned that you buy houses for cash, you close fast, and you buy as is, you want to highlight the fact that you want to help them. So you want to let them know that you're not trying to steal their home, but you can offer a solution to them to get out of a problem that they may have. So we want to buy your house. Next, you need to just put in a phone number, and we recommend putting the phone number in 3 or 4 times. It's multiple calls to action. If you have an email that you want to use, put that in there as well. And then after that, just leave your name and contact information, and that's it. I mean, you could put together a 3 or 4 paragraph letter or postcard if you want, but it's not necessary. You just need to get the main points out to these people that, hey, this is who I am. This is the service that I provide. I'm looking to help you, and I want to buy your house, and here's how you can reach me. So again, keep it simple, folks. There's really not much to it. Mail is very important, and it's probably the way that the majority of the wholesalers in the nation are getting their leads. In St. Louis especially, we probably get 75 to 80% of our leads from all of our direct mail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
So I guess we'll go ahead and kind of wrap up then. I would say the action item for this week would be to check out the show notes and click on that link to Yellow Letter HQ and check them out. See if they're the right mailer for you. It's again, I think probably one of the most cost effective out there. So please go check that out. If you have not done anything in wholesaling yet, I would encourage you to check out the freewholesalecourse.com. David and I are really excited about that still, being able to offer this free course. Basically walks you through step by step what you need to know to get started in wholesaling. So please visit freewholesalecourse.com, or you can visit us on discountpropertyinvestor.com. And I guess we'll go ahead and close up with a quote. Dave, you want to?
absolutely, this is one of my favorite quotes, actually. Success is guaranteed if you take consistent, persistent action. Consistent, persistent action, folks. You got to start and don't stop. Just keep going. And in time, you're guaranteed to be successful.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Discount Property Investor Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach a wider audience. We would also appreciate it if you left us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thanks in advance for your support. And remember, you make your money when you buy and get paid when you sell. Now let's go build some wealth.